welcome to another edition of Between the Posts with Tommy Javor and Lachie Gould. Lachie, this season is hotting up.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Cannot wait to see where this one goes.
Yeah, and well, we wouldn't be here, none of us would be here without our mothers. We, of course, are shooting on a Mother's Day. Normally we'd be at the Gully, but it was too full for their Mother's Day special. Thank you to all the mums out there. I had my mums on the show last year, but let's start with the wonderful woman we call Nicole. You wouldn't be here without her.
No, she's brilliant. G'day, Mum. Hope you're having a great Mother's Day, and I'll see you when I get home.
And to my mum, Diane, thank you for everything you do for me. My mother-in-law, Val, very special to me. And of course, the mother of my children, Katie. Well, she's the reason I'm here today. She lifts me, guides me, and we're on a great journey together. Now, mate, there is tons of stuff on today's show. What do we got?
Yeah, we've got plenty on. We've got obviously the Division 1 report with yourself, Beck's Div 1 report for the women's, and we're going to be doing Division 3 together as well.
We are. We're just in the transition phase. Matty Gale has had to pull up stumps. He's such a busy man, and we're taking over at this stage. We'll have a brand new Division 3 specialist. Also on today's show, of course, the Coach of the Week, what caught our eye, the marks and goals of the week, and of course, the last word where we're doing now our milestones, births and marriages. Now, mate, of course, we've got a little bit more exciting. All our wonderful sponsors. How good are they? Oh. And I know I saw you on the e-bike. Just tell us quickly about the e-bike.
Yeah, so High Five e-bikes out there with Jamal on Flinders Street. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant out there. I told you, I got to 16 k's an hour, and that is as fast as I'm going. They do go up to 25 though.
You're probably too young to know who Evel Knievel is, but believe me, you're not like him. Now, we've promised it, we've previewed it, we've snapshotted it, but here it is. You, the viewer, we love you all, because we wouldn't be here if you weren't watching us. You have your chance to win an e-bike. Mr. Darcy, hit that link, click the link below, you'll find the link all over the place. It is your chance to win an e-bike just for being a fan of the Adelaide Footy League. And I've got some really, really bad news for you. We can't win, neither can anyone in our family.
Yeah, look, disappointed with that. I'll have to visit Jamal and make sure I get something sorted out though.
It sucks to be us in that way, but we get to watch Adelaide Footy League, be at the games each week, and we absolutely love it. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more Between the Posts. And welcome to the Division 1 report with Tommy Javor and Lachie Gould, brought to you by BTR Excavations. They are outstanding, and look, Lachie, let's look back before we look forward. 5 out of 5. I'm always pretty happy because it's a tough comp to tip in the old Div 1. What did you get out of 5, mate?
4 out of 5. Pretty happy with that.
Did you get one wrong, did you? Which game did you get wrong?
Yeah, it was Salisbury North.
Oh, unlucky, man, unlucky. Well, something to learn from. Just stick with me, young Padawan. I'll teach you the ways of Division 1. But you were at the Stream Team match of the round. Of course, you head up our Stream Team there with the great man, Adam Joffa-Jeffries. And it was Sacred Heart 17-8-110, PNU 11-6-72. A guy I've been banging the drum on all season already. Superstar young footballer, Glenelg Premiership player number 23, Hunter Window, is a player we're going to have a look at. Very quickly, the goal kickers, Keel with 4, McAuliffe with 3, Lowby and Hildyard, Glenelg names sort of kicked a couple. Whilst for PNU, Morris with 3, Wagner with 3, and Viney with 2. Lachie, you were the man on the mission at Sacred Heart. Take us through what you thought.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good game of footy to be honest. For the first half, Payneham Norwood Union actually led at quarter time. Were really, really strong out of the blocks, and then from quarter time onwards, Shock kind of pulled them back. They were able to get a 10-point advantage. Then in the third quarter, they actually ended up kicking 6 goals to 2. So that was really the quarter they stamped their authority on the contest. Then Payneham Norwood Union came back at the start of the last quarter, but Shock were able to run away. They actually ended up winning the llast quarter by a point as well. So it was a pretty good day for Shock. Payneham Norwood Union nearly got away with it at the start, but unfortunately they were pegged back by a much better team. Yeah,
I'm Payneham Norwood Union Plus player, so I get all their updates, which I really appreciate. 11 points up at the quarter, as you said, 10 trailing by 10 at the half. I think, did Shock maybe kick about 5 goals in a row there in the second and get their game going?
Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 in a row. Payneham had a couple of opportunities in the third quarter, but really they weren't good enough from quarter time onwards.
And then that 6-4 to 2-1 third quarter, they call it the Premiership quarter. Just take us through some of the style of play that Shock are using.
Yeah, so Shock, they generated a lot from their midfield, so they were able to win clearance after clearance. Payneham Norwood Union struggled a little bit. It was one of the things they were really good at in the first quarter when they were able to win. They were generating out of the middle. But the other thing that really dropped off was their pressure. So the Payneham Norwood Union for the first half, they kept pressuring Shock, put them under a heap of mistakes, and then it all just dropped off at half time, and we had no idea where they were going.
Yeah, the Shock always had a good midfield, quite a good midfield. Bone Crusher McRae being fit, Hunter Window being added, Brad Agnew being able to float through there if required. For me now, they've got a real depth, and they've got to get rid of that finals lapses that I have. But if you get there with momentum, this feels like a different Shock to me. I'm pretty buoyant by their chances. Better players who won't appear in the vote, and for PNU better players, Big Nick Kelly doing good things, Nunn and Morris with his 3 goals. For Shock, Maroney, Hildyard, Boyle and Darcy Gloyas. He's got a bit of an attitude when he plays these days. I love it. He was such a nice young boy when I coached him when he was a kid. Now he plays on the edge. I love it. But plenty of awards as well. Brad Agnew, Moseley, about your best team man. Tell us a bit about Brad's game.
Yeah, Brad does what he does every week, really just take his intercept mark after intercept mark. He was a large reason as to why they were able to hang with Payneham Norwood Union when they had those little surges in momentum.
The magic moment, Cam Keel.
Yeah, Q, he had a ripper game, and that magic moment was pretty good.
And the man who won all the spoils, including a pair of, did he get Archie's thongs or Archie's slides?
He got the Archie slides. They were about a size 4 though, so I don't know how Hunter's going to go with them.
It's only got the biggest foot in the world, but there's a pair of size 15s over there I might get to him. But well done to Hunter. And the votes, please, mate, that you gave out.
Yeah, so Hunter Window ended up with the 3. We gave Cam Keel 2 because of his 4 goals, and McAuliffe had an absolutely brilliant game, so Henry McAuliffe ended up with 1 vote as well.
Yep. Now, I look back at the start pre-season show, I had Shock in the 5. But and you did too, we both had Payneham right up the top end, potentially challenging Port District. So 2 questions without notice, and they're big questions. Have we underestimated Shock?
Yep.
Yeah, we have. And have we overestimated Payneham?
Yes.
Yes, well, it gets no easier for Payneham next week. They're off the Port
No, it
District.
doesn't.
So it could be all over before it begins. It's getting very hard to see them turning it around now. It's coming from a long way back. Let's move on to our next game, which was, of course, St. Peter's Anglanunga. And here is another team that has arrived, St. Peter's. I had to triple check this scoreline. This scoreline is real. St. Peter's 14-14, Glenunga 10 straight goals, 60. Obviously, the thing that jumps out straight away there is 28 scoring shots to 10. That is phenomenal. Now, we couldn't get a photo with him because he had other things to do straight after the game, but the man who dominated the game was he's young, he's exciting, he's got great agility. Henry Stewart Rattray played a great game. Goal kickers, for Spock, they shared it around. Higgins, Nelligan, Carruthers, Michaels and Ionello with 2, whilst for Glenunga, Davis 4, Marini 2 and Smith 2. Spock have taken the next step in Division 1.
Yeah, they have. They look like they're here to challenge as well. So worrying signs for Glenunga though as well. I mean, 10 straight's always good, but not when you only generate 10 scoring shots for the entire game. That's quite worrying.
It's exactly where I'm at. 18 more scoring shots. It probably, if you look back in the annals of time, 1%, less than 1%, less than 0.1% would teams have won a game where they've had 18 less scoring shots. That's just common sense, as we say. Some of the commentators' notes entertain me, so we're going to go over Matt Gale. He's good.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Chuck this one on his stiff shizzle commentary notes list. 17 of 24 goals were kicked towards Ladies' Day. He has a theory that the boys were gravitating towards Ladies' Day, and St. Peter's Ladies' Days, they do it very, very well. And it was 13 goals to, more seriously, 30 goals to 7 after quarter time. So again, keeping an eye on all scores as I do throughout the day. Glenunga led by 8 points at quarter time, down by 18 at the half, 22, then 38. A really solid performance by Spock. Well, all the spoils went to Spock players. We didn't have an outtake just then. But give us the better players for Glenunga, please, mate.
No, we didn't. Pridham, Davis and Zach Smith all in the better players.
Yeah, Davis with his 4 goals, obviously. They're just got to get him a bit of supply. And Zach Smith, still one of the great intercept defenders. And Pridham does great things. Better players that don't appear in the votes for the Spuckos, McKinnon, Nelligan and Ben Ionello. But you've got the votes for us there, please, Lock.
Yeah, I do. So Stuart Rattray ended up with the 3. It was Scott Bedford with the 2 and 1 Mel Carruthers.
Yeah, now interesting. The Wizard last week, our Div 5 specialist, Banwell there, mentioned the fact that Spocko had kicked 20 points in the last 2 weeks. Now, this week they've tied it up for it, but they are having mass scoring shots. They're getting at the source. Same question as the last game. Have we underestimated Spock?
Yes, we have, definitely.
Yeah, we didn't have them in the 5. We thought they'd be better, but didn't have them in the 5. I think they're going to play some finals footy. I'd be surprised if they don't.
Yep.
Have we overestimated Glenunga?
I still think they'll turn it around, so I'm going to go with no.
Okay, all right. I'm tend to disagree with you, mate. I think the loss of some key players in Bo Schwartz and several others, they've lost that zip and pizzazz, and the loss of great Nathan Grimer, there is a small transition period that's occurring. I think they'll win plenty of games of footy, don't get me wrong, but and the injuries, it looks like a tough road for them. They're a long way off it. All right, next one, mate, is Port District and Golden Grove. We haven't underestimated Port District. I'll give you that.
No, we haven't.
13-17-95, Golden Grove 7-7-49. We're looking at number 30, Nash Haynes now. But it wasn't all Port's way. They really had to work for it. They trailed by 6 points at the quarter, 4 points at the half. Then they did what Port District do. 6 goals to 1 in the third quarter for a 28-3-point three-quarter lead and a 46-point ultimate win, mate. They're making every poster winner the Dizzies.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they had that minor blip when they lost that game of footy, but now they are absolutely flying. Yeah,
it's good spreads as well. 4 players kicked 2 in Ferns, Gray, Passanidi and Hawkins, whilst for Golden Grove, Pascoe 3, Glenn 2. Probably not enough contributors outside of those two in the goal scoring ranks. Let's have a look at the better players that don't make the votes. Let's have a look at Golden Grove, please, Lachie.
Yeah, so Pittman's there, McKelvey and Robinson. And I think Pittman's unlucky just because Golden Grove lost.
Yeah, yes. And for Port District, Scooter Lysette, Deinhoff and Cooper Gaffney. Not my votes. Cooper Gaffney in the best players. As you'd expect, he's harder than a cat's head.
Yeah, look, he is. But I reckon you would have had something to do with that there, Tommy.
Something to do with me, mate. Before we look at votes, just want to look at some of the commentators' notes. Again, that third quarter, they were just powerful and their midfield took control. Once their midfield takes control, Port District are irrepressible. We saw it in the grand final last year and... yeah, they've got good bookends as well now. They just look like, and rightly so, the premiership favourites at this point, as our commentators have written in the notes. Give us the votes, please, for the e-bikes player of the year.
Yeah, so no surprise, 3 Nash Haynes, 2 Samuel McKay, and 1 Ben Gould.
Yeah, some very good players appearing in the votes, and they're sharing it around at Port District, and that's always a good sign. All right, next up. Oh, wowee, what a game. Broadview. 3 goals, 21. Yeah, that's not a misprint. Ross Trevor, 7 goals, 13. A 16-point win to Ross Trevor, away from home. They got it done, and that's what you got to do. The star of the show was Stefan Lanzoni for the Rocks. Lachie, I'm going to give you some of the stats now because this just makes interesting reading. And I was watching, so I actually thought Play HQ was broken. At quarter time, Broadies led. Again, I told you, when you take Broadies lightly, they'll beat you. 2 goals, 6-2-2. Half time, what a second quarter. 7 points to 4, no goals. So it was 2-13 to 2-6. At three-quarter time, 2-18 to 4-8. So they kicked 12 points in the second and third quarter. What a waste of opportunities. And then ultimately, they lost the game by 16 points. Phil Hurden, our good friend, said it wasn't one for the time capsule, but it was strong competitive football. And you've got to bank those wins, especially for a team coming up from Div 2.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. When we checked that one, I thought Hugo had made a mistake on the old scorecards, but he certainly doesn't. He does a great job there, Hugo. But I tell you what, it is really important. I'm glad you brought this up. Div 2 teams need to bank wins, especially against established Div 1 sides. Yeah, no, Broadview unfortunately yet to win, but there were some great battles. White versus Butterworth in the ruck was a really good battle, and obviously they had control. Well, I wouldn't say they had control, but they were leading for large portions. In the third quarter, White goes down with a hammy. Hopefully it's not too serious, and then Butterworth gets on top and leads to Ross Trevor kicking some goals and getting the job done. Again, Phil Hurden, not one for the time capsule, but tough Div 1 games, and you're going to see a lot of these sort of scorelines with Ross Trevor. They are very, very... defence is really at the forefront. They make sure they curtail other teams' influence and then try and get them on the counter a lot of the times, mate. Better players for Broadview, please, Lachie. So Langley, Wilson and Rossman didn't see themselves in the votes, but all had good games. Yeah,
good to see Langley coming out of the North Adelaide system last year. Someone I had a great interest in the off-season. Signed at Broadview, which was his junior club, I believe, and he's doing great things. Big body, big tall boy, can take a great clunk and good footballer. For Ross Trevor, that man Xavier Tranther, Butcher and Baldwin were all very, very good. But let's have a look at the votes, please. Lachie.
Lanzoni had 3, Tom McCormack with 2, and it was Jackson Haynes with 1.
Yeah, and just on those 2 guys, McCormack with the 3 goals and Haynes with the 2 goals were the only multiple goal scorers on a very low scoring day. What I will just close this out with is Broadview, you've had 4 more scoring opportunities, so they're creating the opportunities. If you create the opportunities week after week, you will get the chocolates. And when they do, it's going to be a big night down in Tigerland.
Absolutely, it will be. We better get an invite, Tommy.
Yeah, we better indeed. I've been holding back on this next game, mate, because your team that's going to make the grand final, PAC, and they've been the measuring stick in Div 1 for 7-8 years, 3 premierships. They are a super club, but they went to Salisbury North by minibus on the weekend, and it was Salisbury North 14-11-95, PAC 3-9-27. A 68-point win there for the Hawks, and one man who I called before the game and checked the footage, checked the broadcast. Brett mentions it multiple times. I said he kicked 5. And Hellabout was the star of the show, number 24 for the Hawks, kicking 7 goals in an outstanding display. Jake Wagner backed up his great game last week with 4 goals. And all in all, it was a great display by the Hawks.
Yeah, it really was. I'll stick my hand up and say I got this one wrong, but certainly concerning for PAC. 2 losses on the bounce now. They've got to turn it around quickly.
Yeah, it was 6 straight goals to 1-2 in the opening quarter for the Hawks, and that efficiency is what really set the game up. So they did win all 4 quarters, which was fantastic. 28, 36, 54 and 68. So a 4-quarter performance that also boosted their percentage by 4%. So really big. Every year in Division 1, relegation, finals and double chances is decided by percentage. So percentage is paramount, and you've got Port Districts with some ridiculously high percentage at the moment, and don't worry, Sacred Hearts is probably not travelling too bad either. So really important. Beck did a great job on the call yesterday. I actually sat in on the call for a few minutes as well, about 12 minutes, and enjoyed it. It was a great day. It was great to have all the PAC board in at the luncheon as well. So, but on the football itself, I mean, you can watch the footage yourselves. I've been told, shut up about Salisbury North by Salisbury North, but they were great. They were as good as I've seen them play. When teams play Salisbury North, it's not like you can go, oh, it's Harble play twos. It's Harble you've got to shut down, or there's 18 contributors on the field, 21 people playing a system. It's all about system, and I always talk about in Div 1 for many years. Port might have been the exception. You need your bookends sorted, and I feel like Salisbury North have got their bookends really well. 2 guys down back, you've seen them now, Callum Hay and Murray Bastick. They're scary dudes.
Yeah, they are scary dudes.
And they've noticed you haven't tipped them yet.
Yeah, I'd like to apologise severely.
For PAC, it wasn't a great day for them. They just couldn't quite get the connection between midfield and forward, but Hayden Jolly was absolutely sensational, and Pitt was very good as well. For Salisbury North, Cooper Wilson was brilliant. Jake Fisher, the fish, so he played his best game I've ever seen him play. He won the goal kicking Div 2 years ago at Broady, so he's probably played a lot of really good games of footy, but for 4 quarters consistent efforts, he was fantastic, and Cal Hay was in there too. Take us through the votes, please.
Yeah, so it was in the end 3 for Ant Hallabat, and then 2 for Jake Wagner, and 1 for Geordie O'Brien. So Hallabat again having a really good game.
Yeah, he's the X factor. He's a mid-sized forward as well, so he can be very hard to match up on. And if we talk specifically about his game, which he deserves the right, he kicked 4 goals in about 10 minutes in the first quarter, literally caught fire, and then dragged himself off. What are you doing? But anyway, here's what it is.
He needed a break.
Yeah. So a good win to Salisbury North, and probably just an off day for PAC. We'll see how they bounce back. All right, mate, let's have a look at the ladder here. And it is Sacred Heart, the only undefeated team, 4-0. We got 4 teams on 3-1, Port District, Salisbury North, St Peters and Ross Trevor. And then a bit of a break with percentage to PAC 2-2. And then 3 teams that we thought were going to play finals, sitting 7th, 8th and 9th in Glenunga, Golden Grove, PNU. Broady's also just propping the table up there on 0 and 4. Interesting to see, mate, both Division 2 promoted teams currently sitting in the 5.
Yeah, so both teams are having a really good season. Rocks obviously got off to a great start when they beat PNU and have been able to carry that through. And Salisbury North were also close to beating Golden Grove a couple of weeks back in round 1, and they've found their momentum when they beat PNU on Anzac Day and have been able to keep charging their way through too. Yeah, and Ross Trevor not escaping under the radar here for this. We really think they're a good team. They've lost 1 game by a point, a game that I felt they should have won. I watched that game and I thought they were the better team of the day. Didn't quite get the chocolates. All right, mate, it's round 5, Breakthrough Mental Health round, isn't it, Darcy? Give me a thumbs up. It is. If in doubt, reach out. Breakthrough Mental Health. It's everyone's business. Make sure we support each other, support your mates. All right. The games this week, mate. Glenunga 1-3 taking on Shock 4-0 at Webb Oval. That'll be Glenunga. That'll be Shock that win that game. I nearly said the wrong team then. Shock will win that game.
So Glenunga to lose their 3rd game in a row at Webb Oval.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk that? That's if you had said that to me before the season, I would have called you silly. But now I say correct. Sacred Heart. PAC versus Spock, the Intercol Classic.
I reckon Spock are in a little bit of form. I'm going cold on PAC. I still think they'll play finals. I just don't know whether or not really.
Oh, so now it's not grand final, now it's finals?
Yeah, they're just going to keep working their way down, unfortunately, I think.
Oh, you get seduced a little too quickly, I think.
Yeah.
So, St. Peter's for me as well. They're just playing some beautiful football. And when challenged on the weekend, found a way. The Div 2 grand final rematch, plenty on the line in this one. It's at, they call it the Chateau, Campbelltown Oval, Ross Trevor and Salisbury North.
Yeah, I know I'm copping some slack at Salisbury North at the minute for not tipping them. I'm finally going to tip you. I reckon you're going to win this game.
No, we'll lose now. It'll be all your fault. Salisbury North were fantastic on the weekend. I'm not going to pretend they weren't because they were. I'll take Salisbury North, but this is a 50-50 game. Ross Trevor at home will be incredibly hard to beat. See how that goes. Golden Grove and Broadies.
Yeah, I reckon Golden Grove will win that game. Broadies are in some real trouble, but Golden Grove need to bounce back as well. They're 2 losses on the bounce.
3 losses on the bounce.
3 losses on the bounce.
Yeah, they beat Salisbury North in round 1, I believe.
And that's it, yeah.
and were very, very good. I saw a very, very good Kookaburras outfit that day. I expect them to win. And PNU, they're back home. So can they get their first win? Bad news is Port District are coming for them.
Yeah, no, Port District will win that, and they'll be 0-5 there, PNU.
Wow. Hard to believe. I agree with you though, mate. That's been the Division 1 War Report. We'll be back with more Between the Posts.
Do you belong in a role that drives you? In a community that makes you proud? In a team that brings out your best? You belong in blue. Apply for a career with South Australia Police.
Well, it's round 4 already, and we've had 4 awesome games of women's footy in Division 1, brought to us, of course, by BTR Excavations. I'm Beck Northcott. Let's talk about what happened throughout the round. Now, you might notice we're not at the Gully Hotel today. Well, we're filming on Mother's Day, so that place is absolutely packed. So we're filming from in the studio today, but we love the Gully for having us every other week. Now, fans of the show will remember I was really looking forward to the result of this one, Payneham and Happy Valley. Now, this was the top 2 going into this round. That's right, was, but we'll talk about that later. Payneham versus Happy Valley at Payneham, and a huge message has been sent. Payneham 15-10-100 defeated Happy Valley 4-6-30. That's a 70-point win to Payneham, and they hit the ton with 25 scoring shots. They've gone absolutely wild. They've gone undefeated, and they are the last team standing undefeated in Division 1. Now, I definitely would have tipped Payneham in this round, but not by this much at all. It's a huge win, and actually the biggest win they've had so far in 2025. And they were led on the scoreboard with 5 goals to Letitia Ackland. Now that's elite. She's so reliable for Payneham, always up there, always a target for Payneham in front of goals, and she's absolutely delivered in this win. 4 goals as well to Adrian Davies, which is great as well. This is her second game back for Payneham since 2023. She's been off playing for Norwood and doing awesome things there. So good to see Adrian back doing great things in front of goal. Now, we also saw 2 goals to Proud and Tentai and 1 goal to Christocelli and Gadecki. Now, the best on awards went to Tamsin Nation. For Happy Valley, well, their usual suspects, Maddie Bennett and Georgia Hooper, did pop up in front of goal, as did Elizabeth Johnson and Chelsea Kennedy. But it just wasn't enough to put on any scoreboard pressure. Patricia Calvert brought her best form to this game, but for Happy Valley, well, they were just beaten from the absolute get-go. 6 goals for to Payneham to 2 goals to Happy Valley in the first quarter, and Payneham, they just never let Happy Valley in. Payneham, well, they've just hit a new level for the season and will be very stoked, I think, with how things played out this weekend. Happy Valley, their first loss for the season, and I think they'll just move on from this one and focus on round 5. But oof, wowee, Payneham, they're looking scary. Now we move on to a scintillating clash out at Goodwood, where the Henley Sharks Sharknado has stormed in and taken down the Saints, a defining 13-point win to the Sharks, 8-9-57 to the Saints, 7-4-22. Although the more accurate team, the Saints were unable to break through as they trailed the Sharks at every break. Now, only a goal separated these teams at three-quarter time, but Henley put on 3 goals to the Saints' 2-goal 1 to win out the last quarter. Now, with the Sharks win, we of course have to check in with our friend of the show, Tegan Dunbar. And well, she's gone and done it again with 4 goals. She's on an absolute heater at the moment. She's on the top of the goal kicking for the league at the moment. So well done, Tegan. And aside from Tegan, well, the Sharks shared it around with singles to Eliza Cooper, Ellie Farrens, Ellie Fixter and Steph Rayner. Now, none of the goal kickers actually made the best on honours. That went to Mia Smith, so she was absolutely doing her best work in the midfield, I reckon. Now, Goodwood weren't without stars in front of goal. Emma White bagged 3 in a captain's show of strength. Also hitting the scoreboard was my girl JC, Sophie MacArthur, Chelsea Newitt and Corey Webb. Their best on was Piper Langridge. Unfortunately, it really just wasn't their day, and it leaves the Saints with just 1 win for the year and sitting 7th. They have faced some tough teams really early on in the season, and I think there's plenty of time for them to bounce back still, and I've always backed in the talent that the Goodwood Saints have in their team. Now, the Henley Sharks, will they just roll on? 3 wins in a row, full of confidence and comfortably in second spot now with a healthy percentage. Now, over to Hectorville, and the Hounds got their second win of the season by 59 points against Golden Grove. Hectorville 9-14 defeated Golden Grove 1-3. The Hounds get back on the winners list and in strong fashion. Now, the only thing they might be a little bit disappointed about is their inaccuracy with those 14 points. But hey, a win's a win at this part of the season. But let's talk about the goals. And we've got another 4-goal haul in Division 1. The girls are absolutely killing it at the moment. And this time it's Hectorville's Grace Mulvihill with 4 goals. Go Grace. We also saw 2 to Christy Cooper and singles to Elkie Cameron, Zena Hunt and Hannah Jenkin. Elkie Cameron was their best player. For Golden Grove, their goal came via Ayla Johnson and their best was Demi Sonneman, who's having a really solid year for Golden Grove, had a great start to the season. Unfortunately for Golden Grove, they're still looking for their first win and they've really struggled to get some scores on the board. But I think things can turn around for them in the coming weeks and I really hope it does. Heckies, they're sitting just outside the top 4 and I think if they can get a bit more consistency in their game, they can put themselves up there to be a finals contender. Now, speaking of finals contenders, well, Morphettville Park have put up their hand and said, yes, that's absolutely us, with a 25-point win over Broadview. Now, the Roos led at every break and came home really strong with a 3-goal last term to run out winners, 7-7-49 to 3-6-24. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a team that just continue to reinvent themselves year after year. You can never underestimate the Roos because they've just always got something up their sleeve. But some players don't need to reinvent themselves at all. They've always been there and they just keep doing what they do. I speak of the legend Caitlin Swanson. She's never lost it and she's still got it and she's kicked 3 goals in the win. Julia Watson also delivered 2 goals and Megan Harper and Melinda Speechley also added to the totals. Megan Harper was their best on. For Broadview, Daphne Albanese, Amy Jones and Lucy Mussolino hit the scoreboard and Taylor Gordon was best on. Broadview, they just weren't able to take it up to Morphettville Park this weekend. I think they'll be a bit disappointed with the loss and this takes them out of the top 4 for now. They've got a little bit more work to do, the Tigers, but we know how tough they are. They're so resilient and I know they're going to go back and work really hard and respond stronger. For Morphies, they move into that 4th spot with confidence after changing their 0-2 start now into a 2-2, and they've got a really decent percentage. So let's have a quick look in the ladder now, and there is changes absolutely everywhere from last week, apart from 1st and 8th, which have stayed the same. So Payneham, they're still in 1st. They're now absolutely clear, 4 and zip. Golden Grove still down the bottom of the ladder without a win, but it's the middle for me which is really fascinating. So we get Henley and Happy Valley both on 3-1. Henley, they've really just pushed themselves up there with a strong percentage now. Morphettville Park and Hectorville, they're both 2-2, and they're sort of threatening to push themselves into the top 4, but it's going to be really fascinating how those middle of the road teams play out in the next few weeks. And then we've got Broadview and Goodwood both on 1 and 3, and they've got some work to do in the coming weeks. We know both of these teams can really challenge in this division, but their next few rounds are going to be absolutely crucial. So we'll look straight to round 5. Broadview and Happy Valley. So this is going to be a serious clash, a real chance for Broadview to bounce back, but also Happy Valley. They want to bounce back from that big loss to Payneham. So I'll be really interested to see what happens there. Also, Henley versus Morphettville Park. We've talked about how well Henley have been doing. They're just really hitting their straps at the moment. But Morphettville Park, they're just such a strong team. They've got really talented, experienced players in there. So this honestly could go either way, and I'll be really fascinated to see how it plays out. Golden Grove and Goodwood, another one that at the moment could go either way. Goodwood, they just need to find some consistency. As I've said, they've got the talent in that team, and Golden Grove on the other side, they're desperate for a win. So this again could go either way. And then we round out round 5 with Hectorville and Payneham, and you'd expect Payneham to get this one done, but hey, you never know. Now, before we get into some other division news, we have to mention our friends at Custom by ORTC. Thanks so much for kitting us out. We love your work. And also, the hoodies actually slap. I got one of their hoodies during the week with all our branding on it. So warm, so cozy. I stayed in it all afternoon. Going to be so great for those winter months. We will now have a look what's going on around the divisions. And Division 4, well, I saw a great story, and that was from the Glenunga Rams. So they've joined this season. We know how strong their junior program is, but it's their first season of having senior women. And they got their first ever win for the year. They posted their song up on social media. It was so great to watch. There was such great energy in there. So exciting to see the girls celebrating. We love it. Go Rams. Now in Division 6, Ingle Farm, well, something definitely caught my eye there, and it was Lani Collins. She kicked 8 goals in Ingle Farm's 3rd win of the season. So well done, Lani. You know I love to see girls out there kicking goals. So well done, Lani. Keep kicking those goals. Now, in Division 5, well, Beck Wanganeen, she's done it again. Last week she kicked 10 goals. This week she's got 5. She has 21 for the season so far. So go Beck, you're absolutely killing it at the moment for Salisbury North, and Salisbury North, they're doing well as well. Now, we love to hear stories about women and girls killing it in the Adelaide Footy League. So, you know, if you've got any good stories, slide into my DMs, send me a tip, let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Maybe I'll see you around your club sometime soon, but if not, I'll see you next week for more women's footy.
It's time for our Farmers Leap Coach of the Week. Comes to us from Division 3, and congratulations to Chad Simmons from the Edwardstown Football Club. You are our Farmers Leap Coach of the Week. A little bit about Chad. He is a first-year coach. Of course, Edwardstown last year didn't trouble the scorers, a winless season, and he has turned it right around. Currently 3-1, sitting top of the table. Chad is previously from the Yankee Tigers and has spent time at Sturt, Nord and South Adelaide. When talking about his strengths, he's a wonderful communicator, very good at building relationships, and coaches very much in an educational way, teaches the players the game. Just as importantly for the great man, he is a brand new father. So today on Mother's Day, he and his family have got all the more reason to celebrate, not just because you are our Farmers Leap Coach of the Week. Welcome to Between the Posts Division 3 report time, brought to you by Tommy Javor and Lachie Gould. Welcome, Lachie.
Thanks, it's great to be here. I've watched you guys do the wraps for a couple of weeks, so I'm excited to get involved.
Yes, now Matty Gale has, he's got a lot of commitments with Dartfish, filming footy, media, AFL. He's a very busy man, so unfortunately he's had to relinquish his duty. Of course, he commentates for us every Saturday, doing great things. We will have a new Division 3 host coming in about 6 weeks' time. We're going to do a quick one this week, mate, so our Division 3 fans out there don't miss out in what is a very, very challenging to tip and predict competition, mate. So let's have a look at this week's results. Roll them up for me. Thank you, Darcy Schaff. Hope Valley 11-11, Seaton 14-14. Hope Valley still yet to win a game. Kilburn at home getting done 12-11, Westminster 17-11, Edwardstown 10-6, North Haven 8-9. Pembroke Kings 6-10, Unley Mercedes, the Jets 12-12, and Scotch 6-5 were no match for the Phantoms 10-14. Probably for me, mate, it's the Westminster one that jumps out at me. Kilburn losing at home, you don't see that too often.
Yeah, Kilburn losing at home, but I thought Westminster were pretty good last week. They got pretty close last week, so it's good to see them get a win too.
Yeah, and also great for Edwardstown. It's the reverse. They've actually gone from boiled lollies to chocolates. They had a tough year, but now 3-1 sitting top of the table. It's good signs there for the towns. Mate, let's have a look at, I love a goal. I love a goal. So I'm going to have a look at the goal kickers and some great names here and some familiar names from Adelaide Footy League over the years. Sitting at the top, both on 16 goals, is Nick Leck from Westminster, former Glenelg player, and Jake Sutcliffe, the former Eagle from Unley Mercedes Jets. Mr. Sutcliffe, they call him at school. He's a school teacher.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Michael Housen. Now, I think he's about 62 years old, Sticks Housen. He plays in the long sleeve, left foot, a brilliant footballer, probably in his early 30s, to be honest with you, but was part of their 2000. I think he's a four-time premiership player. A lot of Kilburn right now, probably yelling at the screen if it's 5, but was part of the 12 and 13 premiers, and I think a couple more in there as well. He's got 12. Benny Wiles from Kilburn, son of the great Dallas with 12. Josh Holliday from Edwardstown on 12. Ollie Sellen from Foss with 11. Riley Stevenson from Edwardstown on 11. Shane Harris from Seaton Ramblers on 10. Corey Solly, former Salisbury North player, I know you're a huge fan, from Kilburn with 10, and Elliot Viles, who kicked 5 on the weekend with 10 from Westminster. Really good spread from players represented, especially at the top of the ladder from all clubs. Yeah,
really good. Everyone's getting their good work done, and it's really, really impressive.
Getting a lick of the ice cream, as they say. Now, what we've looked at for in the better players, obviously there's a lot of big names, and I've talked about them throughout the Between the Post shows. I love the fact that there's a big three at Westminster for me in Leck, Rookie and Bradley. Kilburn have still got that old stages back together, Pearce and Galbraith, and these better teams have all got really good top ends. But there's some players who've had perfect seasons so far, Lachie. They've been the best players every single week. There's 4 of them. Give them to me, please, mate.
Yeah, Tommy, so the best players, the guys that have been in the votes every week: Curtis Phillips from Westminster, James Taylor from Hope Valley, Josh Hollyoak from Edwardstown, and Mitch Duval from Unley Mercedes Jets.
You went both ways, and you just
I edged my bets.
We'll go Duval. Beautifully done. Now the ladder does tell a tale, and this will start a conversation between us. But let's have a look at the ladder. It is the Towns on 3-1, Foss 3-1, Wasps 3-1. That's the Dragons. The Kilburn Chicks 2-2. The boys from Chicago. Unley Mercedes Jets 2-2, but with a great percentage of 56%. The Havens. The Lipson crew down there on 48%, 2-2. Pembroke 2-2. Seaton 2-2. Bit of a logjam there for the 2 and 2s. While Scotch 1-3. Hope Valley 0-4. What stands out for you in the top half of the ladder there, Lachie?
I'm going to level with you. The first and second both came from Division 2.
They did.
And 3 and 4 both came from Division 4.
Great point. It is a real statistical anomaly there, and it just goes to show the new entrants to the division can really have an impact, and they have. Of course, pre-season I tipped Unley Mercedes to be playing Foss in the grand final, and there is a bit of guesswork. Let's be honest, it's based on a bit of experience, but Unley Mercedes still hanging around. But I think it's the bottom 2 where there's a bit of concern, and with all due respect to these clubs, they've been great clubs across the journey, but I think Scotch and Hope Valley are going to be our relegated teams. And it might just be how many games they can pinch throughout the year. You don't want to drop games to them. Scotch 1-3, Hope Valley yet to trouble the scorers in a bit of a rebuild. Is that unfair? Are they potentially, or have I gone too early there?
No, I don't think you have. I think both those teams are in a little bit of a relegation fight. But also the other thing to consider is potentially in the middle of a rebuild, dropping back down isn't too bad. You do drop down a division, start getting some more wins and start building some belief as well for when you come back up.
Yep, and I think what the ladder also tells us is is the gap from 3 to 2 is still significant. Obviously, there's a gap from 2 to 1. We know that. The gap from 3 to 2 is very much significant because the two teams that come down, and it was reported that Foss lost a lot of players, they are currently sitting top. So, again, who's played who is also relevant. For me, I watched Seaton 2 weeks ago at Kilburn, and they got beaten by 13 goals. I wasn't impressed. When teams lose by 13 goals, you're not. They've bounced back with 2 wins. But for me, I still think any of the top 7 can be there when the whips are cracking at the end. Havens have had some good success over the years, and Pembroke as well. Got some really good players on their list. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Mate, let's have a look at this week's game, and I'll get a tip from you, mate. It is 3rd place Westminster hosting 9th place Scotch.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Westminster in that one.
Yeah, again, winning without Bradley and Rookie on the weekend was incredibly impressive. I expect them to win and win well. One thing, and I think you mentioned it in what caught our eye, Westminster score very well. They score high and they get a run on and they play exciting football. So I expect the Dragons to get the job done. Down at Chicago, Kilburn take on Pembroke.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kilburn in that one.
Yeah, I think I'll take the Chicks as well. They are an ageing list. Every day they get older, but when they play good footy and they get on top, they tend not to. Once they get on top in a game, they don't blow leads. If they can get a good start, they'll take care of the Kings. Unley Mercedes, who I thought would probably win the flag at the start of the year. 2-2, just a little speed wobble. Nothing to worry about.
Yep.
Little speed wobble. Take on North Haven. It's 5th versus 6th, probably game of the round.
I know a little bit about speed wobbles, being on a high-five e-bike, and I think Unley Mercedes will recover from their speed wobbles and get the job done here.
Yeah, we keep agreeing on everything. Seaton at Pedlar Reserve, taking on Edwardstown.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Edwardstown. They're pretty comfortable. They're going to get the job done.
I don't think I've ever been to Seaton had an easy game. It will be tough. And it's a good place to play footy. They've had the club rooms done. Also, Darren Mead, I think he got a... you were at the showdown.
Yeah, he got a
medal,
showdown,
did he?
yeah,
so
yeah.
he'll be cock-a-hoop. He'll be up and about. Coming off 2 wins in a row. Dangerous tip against the home team, but I'll also take Edwardstown. And Foss Camden sitting second, Hope Valley sitting bottom.
Yeah, it should be Foss Camden pretty comfortably there.
Yeah, you can't put lipstick on a pig in that one. I could get a little untidy, but Hope Valley are pretty good on the weekend, so we wish them all the best. Mate, that's been the Division 3 report. Now, that's the last time we'll see us in Division 3. Hopefully we've filled in all right, but we've got an exciting young superstar. I'm not going to say who it is, but coming on board to become the Division 3 specialist. It'll be great for our group, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. I think I know who you might be talking about.
Yeah, when you bring those new young players, they give you energy, excitement, much like I'm around you, mate. So this has been the Division 3 report. Thanks very much for joining us on Between the Posts. We'll be back with more after this short break. Welcome to another edition of What Caught Our Eye. Oh, Lachie, that's outstanding by you. Just the two of us this week, let's get rolling. So I'll start us off, Lachie, in Div 7. I love the Adelaide Footy League because things catch my eye. We share them. And this one, I couldn't believe it because they were all the rage. But it was Central United. The units have announced themselves with a good win at Mofflin. 17-17, 119. Taking care of Hackham quite comfortably, really. 9-11-65. That one shocked me.
Yeah. It would have shocked me as well. But Hackham without Blake Dare at the minute, he resigned as head coach on Tuesday night.
Wow, that's some big news, mate. Now, you do work with Blake, don't you? So, obviously, the club's parted ways in good terms. There's an interim coach at the moment. But we wish both Hackham and Blake all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything exciting happens, I'll be sure to let you guys know.
Okay, he's been here for a few weeks, already a better newsbreaker than me. But thank you for that, mate. Huge story, that one there, and maybe shifts the favouritism for Div 7. Who knows? We'll see. Division 6, mate, you can lead us off. Hopefully you don't have any more bigger scoops than that.
No. Houghton have defeated Rosewater to make sure there's no undefeated clubs.
Yep.
And West Croydon were 2 points off defeating Adelaide Lutheran as 9th played 10th, and West Croydon are yet to win.
Yeah, but that's great hope because they were right in the mix, one kick away. Again, I had Houghton defeating Rosewater 16-11 to 10-7. Jake Martin with 5 and Babiak the best. As you said, no undefeated teams, and I think this is the division that's going to keep making us look stupid all year because Fitzroy are the favourite now. this week. But who knows? I said Fitzroy Inglefard playing the grand final. Inglefard, two losses they wouldn't have wanted, but what an exciting time in Division 6. Division 5, we previewed it last week, the Battle of the Jail, and again, another surprise to me because Greenacres, did you tip this?
I
think you did.
Yeah.
And I went Eastern Park. It was Greenacres by 33 points. Well done, mate. That's brilliant by you. And that's a huge win for Greenies. Again, another team that's announced themselves. Look out for the Dragons. But, ring-a-ding-ding, the Eagles are the thing. Gazer have had their first win in quite a while, and they've had a tough couple of years. Matt Downey and the boys, Gazer, 16-9, 105. Salisbury, 6-11, 47. Burns, BOG, very pleasing for Matt Downey. 13 different goal kickers. Well done, you Eagles. Jeez, it's been a tough run, but here they come. Div 4, mate, and I was out there for the C grade in the morning having a little look at my old mob, the Walkerville Cats, and I can't believe they just keep winning these close ones. Walkerville 11-15, Hectorville 11-10. The Cats are undefeated. I call them the Cardiac Cats. The last 3 results, they've won by 2 points, 8 points, 5 points. Tough to watch, exciting football. Well done, Cats, and got the new bowling facility there. Trying to get new club rooms there, but the Cats are making every post a winner.
Yeah, I decided to go a little bit closer to where I live and have a look at Mitcham. Mitcham are now 2 wins in a row despite starting the season with 2 losses. Day 1, 16-3-99 to defeat Smosh 14-8-92. Smosh are winless. Hectorville nearly got Walkerville, and Walkerville and Colonel Light Gardens remain undefeated. Yep.
I think you'll find that Mitcham will be playing some finals. Give us Div 3, please, mate.
Yeah, so only Westminster kicked over 100 points, and Hope Valley are still yet to win after falling to Seaton.
Yeah, Westminster have really, really caught my eye. Westminster 17-11, the Chicks 12-11. Now, that was at Kilburn. I watched Kilburn 2 weeks ago, and I came on the show and I said, clearly I've underestimated them. I said they couldn't win the premiership. Maybe they could. This is another division that's throwing up, but Westminster are tickling my fancy at the moment a lot. It was Nick Leck and Elliot Viles kicked 5 each, and I was like, oh, okay, Rookie and Bradley have dominated. They didn't play. So no Andrew Bradley, no Christian Rookie, and they look like they've got a pretty good depth on their list. And watch out for the Dragons in Division 3 this year.
Absolutely. Over in Division 2.
Oh, upsets are plenty.
Well, I'm gonna go with the one we were probably expecting. Athelston is still undefeated after getting Lockleys by 85 points, and I did happen to. One of my sources told me, and by one of my sources I mean I was scrolling Instagram.
It's a source.
And the Marmalade boys were out there as well. They ended up at the Adelaide Oval last night, obviously for the showdown, but then they were out there playing in, I think, the C grade. One of them was playing around in, so yeah, we'll have to get them on the show.
Checkers place in the C. So
yeah, we'll have to get them on the show after Lockleys get their win. But Brighton shocked Goodwood, and 3 games were decided by a goal or less. Brighton obviously got over the top of Goodwood. Old Ignatius got over the top of Modbury by a single point, and Adelaide Uni got over Henley by 4.
Yes, the Marmalade boys got a connection there with Matty Knight, and have moved across from Lockleys to Athelston to play some C grade, and yeah, they love their chalky milk and their unusual people. All right, I went with the upsets theme. Adelaide Uni by 4 over Henley at Henley. I think that's upset of the season across all divisions at the moment. 13-8 to 11-16. Bad kicking is bad football. 21 scoring shots to 27. You should win when you have 6 more scoring shots, but they didn't. And again, the strange thing was it was actually at Henley. I can't remember the last time they lost at Henley. Maybe Tea Tree Gully a couple of weeks ago. But the other one for me, Goodwood were undefeated. I thought we'd underestimated them. A week's a long time in footy. Bad kicking has cost them as well. It was Brighton 10-6-66, Goodwood 8-12-60, and Div 2, again, I think the middle part of the ladder is just evening up. It's just Athelston and Tea Tree Gully at the top that are making every post a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Div 1.
Div 1, so of course you can have a look at this in the Division 1 wrap if you haven't already, but Golden Grove, 3 defeats in a row, St. Peter's get Glenunga, Ross Trevor set Broadview to the bottom of the ladder after the Tigers kicked 3 goals, 21. Salisbury North rolled past Prince Alfred, I got that wrong, and Sacred Heart versus Payneham. P&U can be competitive in stages.
Let it go, brother. Obviously, watch the Div 1 report for all your Div 1 action. So just very briefly for me, caught my eye when I was looking at the ladder last night. The 2 promoted teams are 1 game and 6% clear. It's only round 4, but it's a really good start to the season. They play each other this week in the grand final rematch. You know what? I'm going to go have a look at that one.
You ready?
Yeah, I am. Thanks for joining us again for another edition of What Caught Our Eye. Keep an eye on the Adelaide Footy League. It is the best league in the world. And welcome back to Between the Posts. I know you love it out there. Keep sending them in to Darcy at filmingfooty.com.au. It's time for our marks of the week.
By Salisbury North gets a chance to snap around the body, go close to the top of the square, and has he taken the mark? What a ripping grab taken once again by Wagner. Around the body, go close to the top of the square, and has he taken the mark? What a ripping grab taken once again by Wagner. Top of the goal square, one hand.
Welcome back to Between the Posts, and there were plenty of goals on the weekend and plenty of very, very good ones. Remember, if you see one that you think's worthy, send it in to Darcy at filmingfooty.com.au. But it's time for the round 4 goals of the week.
Parsons, as he'll go inside 50. Davis could have a run and jump, no free. Oh, my word! No free. Oh, my word! Ethan Smith with a soccer goal there, and that so far would definitely be the goal of the week.
And it's time for the final word, brought to us by Sapol. Thank you, Sapol. You can become a police officer too, so just check out our sites. Ever been in trouble with the police, mate?
Next question.
Yeah, me neither. Rightio. Well, they do a great job, and you can become one. Mate, thanks to all our great sponsors. We don't exist without you, and of course the exciting news that you can win an e-bike. Thanks to e-bike sponsors. But tell me about this week's rounds for all divisions, please, Lachie.
Yeah, so it's mental health breakthrough weeks or mental health breakthrough rounds. So make sure you do get out there, you support your mates, and also speak up if you're struggling, because it is important. Everyone needs to know, and make sure that you look after yourselves.
Beautifully said, mate. And where will you be this week?
The college rivalry, so Spock at PAC, so it's going to be good fun. I reckon it's going to be a tight game of footy, and Spock will get the job done.
Well, and you're going to drive up in your little Honda Civic and park amongst the Bentleys and the Jaguars and the...
I might take the train in. I'm going to level with you.
Don't take your e-bike, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I have to go to Jamal.
Now, I love the start of... we brought in a new part to the final word to really give it more connection to the community. Of course, we had milestones last week. It's called Milestones, Marriages and Births. And I've got one of each this week, which is exciting for me. That man from Payneham North Junior, he's a premiership player. Brett Frosty Ansell played his 150th game. Unfortunately, the boys couldn't get the win for him yesterday, but congratulations to Frosty, a great servant. My favourite memory, obviously, I was with Frosty at Payneham after won the 2019 premiership. And like myself, he's a churchgoer. He doesn't drink, unlike me. Him totally sober, getting up on top and just dancing and leading the chorus. He's one of those iconic characters. We love you, Frosty. Well done on your 150th. But I love this one. This is even better than a milestone. This is a birth. It's shot coach Alex Colotto, baby Gio. He's given us permission to post this. So congratulations, mate. Nature, God's greatest gift, has come to you, your baby. Congratulations to you and your family. Probably congratulate his wife as well. She had something to do with it. So.
Yeah, I think she might have been involved. Congratulations to all you guys.
And what a time as well on Mother's Day. So well done to Alex. We have a marriage, but I haven't quite got approval yet. I don't want to announce a marriage that may not be announced officially yet. So we'll circle back to that one next week. But we got one of each. So that has been the final word. Lachie, take us home, please, mate.
Well, massive thank you to everyone that tuned in, and tune in next week for more Between the Posts.